So Chris Matlock, you are a partner at Armstrong Backus & Company, which is a local accounting firm. What was it about accounting that initially interested you?
Well, in high school, I took an accounting class because that was one of the few electives that we had. And my teacher really pushed me to compete in UIL competition. And I was actually semi-successful at it. Got 7th place my first year at state, and 11th my second year. Got to train up a few underclassmen the next year to go to state with me so we could take a team. And I thought, you know what, accountants make decent money, it's a good career, I'll see what happens. And so I went to ASU, and the rest is history.
Now it's kind of interesting you were able to take accounting in high school because you went to a very small high school.
Very small high school. I think I graduated with 15 people. And it's just crazy that the only reason we had the class is because it was a UIL competition. Had we not had the UIL competition, then accounting wouldn't have been offered as a class. And in fact, I had to teach the class my senior year because she retired after my junior year, the teacher who taught it, and they had nobody to fill the position. So I didn't want to not compete. So I trained up some underclassmen, and we went to state that year too.
You taught a class as a senior in high school.
I taught the accounting class, taught them how to do accounting.
Now what was that like? That must have been a little intimidating to be in charge of the class as one of their classmates.
At Westbrook, the little school I went to, you knew everybody from K through 12, so you grew up around them, and it's so different here when the classes are so much bigger. But one of them was a cousin, another one was a good friend, my best friend. So I think you look at that, and it wasn't as bad as it was very informal. I didn't stand up at the front of the classroom and teach or anything. It was we focused on what we needed to know to compete. But I wouldn't have ever picked it as a profession had I not had that exposure, I don't think, to it.
Did they pay you for teaching the class?
They did not pay me, no. But it was fun because at Westbrook we don't have very many electives, so it was something for me to do because I'd pretty much tapped out what the school could offer, and I'd taken lots of college credits. You know, I came to ASU as a sophomore because you had so many college credits in high school.
So that must have been one of your first real leadership opportunities, I would imagine.
It was an opportunity to lead, and I was involved in lots of different high school organizations that you could be involved as a leader in, National Honor Society and Student Council. So we had those things at the little 6-man school too.
Very good. So now I think people have a vision in their mind of what being an accountant is like. How does that stereotype sort of match the reality of what an accountant does from day to day?
Well, there's different areas of accounting. There's public accounting and private accounting. And I think for what we do on a daily basis in public accounting, it's very much, I feel like my job really hinges upon me connecting with the client and connecting with people, almost way more than it ever does knowing how to do math and numbers. I think people think we do a lot of math, but really the software does a lot of the math for us. We have to be able to take the principles of accounting and the applications of the tax law and then put that into practice with our clients' business and help them try to be successful in business. That's really what, to me, it's all about. The numbers thing's just part of it. It's really connecting with people and getting to know them and all about their family and about what they do for life and business and helping guide them through that. That's what really, to me, is what makes accounting so much fun.
Now that's interesting because I think most of us think of accountants as being natural introverts and that's not really a profession built upon developing relationships and rapport with people.
I think that if you're an introvert in accounting, you have a place, and there's a good place for you to do the work, but the really successful accountants are people that can connect with people and just find that common ground, because you want the client to feel like they have known you and can trust you with every decision that they have to make. And you can only do that through building rapport with people.
Now your primary area of emphasis is taxation with a specific interest in business, oil and gas, and real estate. So tell us what all that involves.
Okay, well, we have a department there, it's called Client Accounting Solutions, and it's kind of an all-encompassing accounting service where we help them with payroll, we keep their books, we're doing their different little one-off reports that they have, the sales tax, all those different things. So that's an important part of what I do. And as far as taxation, with a focus in real estate and oil and gas, you know, out here, obviously the oil and gas is it's more in play than it ever has been. We have a lot of farm and ranch clients. You kind of have to know a little bit about everything, but I enjoy dealing with real estate work and real estate investors. And then I enjoy, typically your oil and gas clients have a lot of other things going on too that makes it a lot of fun to work on their stuff and help them out with running their business. It's really about running the business.
Well, and I was going to ask, how important is it for an accountant who's helping, say, an oil and gas business or a real estate business to be fluent to some extent in the oil and gas business or the real estate business?
Very important. You know, oil and gas specifically has a ton of terminology that is not common. What we would call a Christmas tree to the general language of people's knowledge is not the same as what the oil and gas calls a Christmas tree. So you do have to know a lot about the industry as best you can to get by through an interview with a client or a meeting with a client. But it's constantly changing and evolving. You know, it was all just vertical drilling. They went to horizontal, and you kind of had to learn about what all that fracking was and what the different terms were. And you have to stay up on the industries, any industry, to do a good job as an accountant. You really do.
And so how does an accountant go about learning about, say, the oil and gas business?
Some of it's just straight trial by error, and some of it's reading. We have continuing education that we can sign up for and go to that helps teach us and train us about different topics. A lot of times we'll subscribe to different journals that are industry specific, so you can kind of read up on the news and just kind of keep an eye on things. It's really just practical application.
How challenging is it to remain up to date with tax laws, since they seem to always be changing and morphing?
Yes, sir. This year is going to be even more challenging because they overhauled the tax code, the largest overhaul since 1986. And so really I was born in '84, so this is the biggest change in my lifetime, and hopefully it won't change too much. But this is going to be interesting because all the forms are going to look different. Everything's totally different. So it's just a lot of reading and educating ourselves, and really pouring into each other. You know, we have a lot of good leaders at our firm, and they have a lot of knowledge and wisdom and experience that I may not have yet. So it's acknowledging when I have a weakness to say, okay, he's strong in this. I'm going to go ask him the question or ask her the question.
The person who nominated you for the 20 under 40 honor said that you display a, quote, entrepreneurship mindset, and that has led to you becoming one of your firm's top business developers. Where do you think that mindset comes from?
I definitely think it's hereditary. I think my grandfather was a used car salesman, and you kind of have to hustle to make that profession work. My father is a third-generation business owner in my hometown with my uncle, and I think you just see that they have to work hard, and you kind of got to make it work on your own. You have to build the skills to build a business. But honestly, it's just, I like to take risks. I like to try new things. I like to challenge myself. And at the end of the day, a lot of those things entrepreneurs are spot on with. So I'm never scared to try something. You can't be successful unless you make attempts.
So talk about one of those things that you may have tried, took a little risk, and you found that to be gratifying.
We did try a health food store here in town a few years ago. We bought some people out that had retired, and that wasn't successful. We realized real quick that retail was not some area that we should focus in, and so it was gratifying to know that, you know what, we made an attempt, but maybe it didn't go so well. We're going to dust off our jeans and get back up and try again. And I think in accounting and in my profession, it's definitely, you have to put yourself out there and be available and be connected with people. You're going to make mistakes. I know that. I'll make mistakes for the rest of my life. But it's learning from those mistakes and shaping and molding my career so that I don't make the same mistake twice.
So you are also involved in a number of civic endeavors. How do you go about deciding where you're going to invest your time and your talent and your treasures when it comes to volunteer opportunities?
It's a challenge because my nature is to say yes and then figure out how to get it done. And I can find myself overcommitting if I'm not careful, which is not good for anybody. But my wife and I, we just sit down and we try to talk about it and make sure that it's something that she has to be behind it too, because it impacts her at home and the kids' lives, because oftentimes all those things, all the volunteer activities are done outside of the 8 to 5 business hour. And so I just really, does it line up with what I want to do? I have to be, if I'm going to serve on a nonprofit board or something, I really want to be passionate about what they're doing and what their goal and mission is, so that I can really get behind their dream and vision and be a good volunteer and a good board member.
Of the things that you are involved in, what are maybe one or two things that are most meaningful to you?
First off, I love all the organizations I'm involved with. There's no favorites, but I really enjoy working with the ASU Alumni Association. It's my alma mater, and the university's seen such a big growth the last few years, and I think it's exciting to see what the Alumni Association is doing along with the university to connect our former students with what's currently going on at ASU. And then I'm a part of the East Angelo Lions Club, and it's just neat to see all these great wisdom leaders of our community that have been involved in all kinds of things, whether it be a war veteran or they're retired business owners here in town, and just getting to sit and listen to them tell stories about old San Angelo or the kind of their life and how they got from point A to point B. I think it's very fulfilling to see that and get to be involved in that.
You mentioned the ASU Alumni Association, and I was going to ask you about that because you have been very involved in it. Do you feel some sense of obligation to sort of contribute to the university that has helped you become sort of the business success that you are today?
I do. I do think the university definitely helped get me where I'm at. I mean, they taught me my knowledge in my profession. So I think for me, I got on the board because I was working with Brad Fly, who at the time was on the board, and he was like, hey, I need you to help me with this stuff. So I helped him on the project, and then when it was time for him to sunset off the board, then I was like, well, this is something I can get behind, so I'll do that. And now it's probably the board that I've stayed on the longest. I think I've been involved 5 or 6 years, and I plan to make it the full 12 and go the whole way. I'm the vice president now, and I'll be president next year. So, you know, ASU is there, and they're a big part of our community, and they do a lot for us, and they do a lot for our firm, and hopefully in turn we do a lot for the university as a firm also. But I want to stay connected because that's our future employees and my future peers and my future partners potentially that are going to school there.
You've also been involved in many walks to Emmaus, and you play guitar in Celebration Church's worship team. Talk about why your faith is important to you and how that sort of manifests itself in how you live your day-to-day life.
My faith, I cannot think of a day that I wasn't raised going to church. My grandfather was a pastor. My dad has now taken that position after my grandfather retired. And so my father led worship at my home church there, and it just has always resonated with me. My faith in Christ is important to me, and it really does guide and impact every area of my life. There's not a business, personal, my relationship with my wife, everything is impacted by that faith. And I think if you look at the Bible and different things that it says, you can find a lot of great leadership qualities and a lot of great leadership successes and even a lot of leadership failures in there too. And it's learning from those things. And I try to really ground myself with when something is thrown at me from life, that I can lean on those principles that I've learned in that faith and put those applications into practice. And it's not let me down yet, and it never will. So.
Well, speaking of leadership, talk about how you define leadership.
I think leadership is inspiring people to accomplish a goal, a common goal, and it's doing it. You can be given a title, a leader, and you have nobody actually following you. You're not leading. You're just given a title that somebody's following you because they have to. And I think leadership is really more about earning the respect of those that you're leading, and trying to inspire them to follow you because you're displaying good moral character and good things that are going to guide you through that process. Leadership's tough. It's hard it's not an overnight thing. You have to earn the trust and respect of those that you're working with. And as myself, as a leader, I try to, if I'm going to tell people to come in over the weekend and work, I try to make sure I'm putting my time in too, so that they can see that this is important to me and it's important to what I'm doing. And in turn, hopefully they feel that importance and they're motivated to accomplish the same goal.
Is there a particular leader who you feel like has inspired you and helped shape the sort of leader that you are today?
I have a couple that I think are definitely worth mentioning. I mean, I could make a long list of leaders that have impacted my life, but definitely my grandfather. He, his business savvy, the fact that he was my pastor, also my grandpa. He just had so many good leadership qualities. Somebody would come with an idea for the church, and he was not quick to say yes because he just wanted them off his back, but he was quick to say yes because he wanted to inspire people and motivate them. Somebody's passionate about something, allowing them to try to kick them out of the nest basically and spread their wings was a great leadership quality. And I never saw, I know he does get angry, I know he got angry, but I never saw him kind of use that anger. I could see him debate with people all the time, and they both walk away from the table mutually respecting each other. And I think that's what our country could use that a lot right now, to come to the table and say, okay, look, we're going to disagree, but let's make a solution that works for everybody. I think it's an important thing. And then, in my career, Brad Fly, who is one of the 20 under 40 alumni, and I worked with him so closely at the firm. I've been at the firm for 9 years, and he's been a great mentor, and I've tried to take everything that he's poured into me and use that to the best of my ability from what he showed me on how to develop business and how to be a better accountant, but then also look at the failures of both those individuals and say, you know what, I'm going to do my best not to repeat their mistakes, and because nobody's perfect, and it's just they were great leaders though. Both of them were great leaders in my life, and there's so many. My dad, I think everybody has lots of people that's poured into them in their life, and coaches, teachers. I think it's very important that young people today respect them, and because I don't think people really realize how big of an impact those individuals have on your future life. Even if you're only with them for 1 year, they can really make a profound impact on who you become as a person, which I think is amazing.
Which is true of your old accounting teacher.
It is. A lot of the students, I hope she may watch this, so a lot of the students didn't like her style, and she'd been teaching for 50 years, and so she was tough. She was old school and was a tough teacher, but I liked the challenge. My kind of part of probably what made me resonate with her was she wasn't going to beat me. I'm going to conquer this, and we're going to get through this. And it probably made me a better student in her class. And yeah, I mean, she was amazing. Even though a lot of the other students didn't care for her, even though I was with her for 1 year as a student, she really shaped who I was. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here, I don't think, without her pouring into me for even that brief period of time.
Even to the point, this is kind of interesting, we were chatting before the camera started rolling, you actually earned a second degree so that you might have considered going and teaching and coaching had accounting not worked out for you.
I did. I got a kinesiology degree from Angelo State University at the same time as I got my other 2 degrees, just in case I hated the office and didn't want to do that all the time. I thought that teaching and coaching was such a stark difference from what you do on a day-to-day part of life that I got a backup plan. I haven't had to use the backup plan yet. I don't plan to now, but it's always there if I need it. So,
well, it seems to have worked out for you. Chris, congratulations on being one of this year's 20 under 40.
Thank you, sir.